When I play through a video game, there's always a different question I ask myself. For example, how do they keep cranking out these masterpieces? Why am I playing this? Or why didn't I play this sooner? That last one was exactly what I asked myself with Luigi's Mansion 3. Now this game came out late 2019, almost 2 years ago, so I always knew of it but never went out and gave it a shot. Part of this is probably since I never played the first 2 games. Makes sense. And it's possible I was busy with every JRPG under the sun, but that's besides the point. When I finally did get to this game, my jaw hit the floor. You see, before I put in the cartridge, I already knew this game was fairly short, so I wasn't expecting much. But the 11 hours it took me to complete Luigi's Mansion 3 were some of the highest quality I've ever experienced with a video game. From its stunning visuals and audio, creative gameplay, and clever level design, this game is one hell of a package. I think Luigi's Mansion 3 was the first time a game's managed to blow me away with just its mechanics. I genuinely enjoyed it more than Super Mario Odyssey, which is saying a lot. Now I'll be going over some of the flaws I found as well, but they're easily outweighed by all the things it does so well, so don't worry. Now this isn't a story-driven game, so I can't really spoil it that way, but I will be showing some areas and boss fights throughout the game, so if you want to experience them for yourself, feel free to click off the video. But if you don't care, let's jump right into me gushing about why I love Luigi's Mansion 3. As soon as you boot up the game, you're hit with this gorgeous cutscene. Everything from the way the light bounces off objects to the detailed textures of Luigi's hat, you can really tell how much effort was put into making this game look the very best it could possibly be. The engine they used really complements the cartoony art style, and it looks great undocked as well. And it's not like this is a one-time thing. Every single cutscene looks flawless. It was such a nice change when I'm used to this from Nintendo. I really mean it when I say everything about this game screams quality. They went the whole 9 yards in every aspect, and no corners were cut. Like, check out this transition between areas. The game treats them as 2 different rooms, but the transition is so natural that you wouldn't even think that. There's no fade to black or anything. And while we're on the topic of areas, holy crap, I love them. The best way I would describe it is 2.5D. It's almost like a side-scroller in many parts, and it feels like they're paying tribute to the OG Mario games. But then it gives you so much wiggle room so it doesn't get stale. Not only does it fit in with the concept of being in a mansion with the long hallways, but it's unique and charming. Keyword charming, because this game is full of that. You see, Mario characters don't really speak in full sentences, but the voice acting in this game is the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
Oh, wow, Zowie.
In fact, Luigi is the most adorable thing I've ever seen. I love him. Whether it's the funny scenes like this, or just seeing him celebrate every time he accomplishes something. It makes me so happy. Shout out to Charles Martinet for really bringing him to life. Absolute legend. And it doesn't stop with Luigi. You've got everyone's favorite, Toad, who's still, well, loud.
Hello, do you want me to make you macaroni?
Professor E. Gadd, who sounds exactly like a Jawa from Star Wars. Mario and Peach are there too, but we don't talk about them. Come on, this is Luigi's game. It's finally his turn to be the star of the show. In all seriousness, these silly voices really add a lot to the characters, despite how simple they are. They bring a lot of immersion and make you love them even more, especially the main man. Sound design is just something this game absolutely excels at. I've already praised the voice acting of Mario characters way more than I should have, but it only gets better, because the sound effects are so satisfying. I spent like 90% of my time in this game sucking up objects, because it's that gratifying. Oh, look at this nice table. The reason why I couldn't stop destroying every ornamentation was because of the sound effects, especially if I was getting money out of it. I know these all sound like such small things, but that's what sound design is all about. A billion little tiny clips that aren't much on their own, but put together make the world feel 1,000 times more real. Everything from the footsteps, water, and obviously the vacuum are all done perfectly. And geez, I haven't even gotten into the music! I adore the OST of Luigi's Mansion 3. All the songs complement the areas perfectly, set the mood, and really immerse you in each unique level. Paranormal Productions gives you that perfect cinematic red carpet vibe. Captain Fishhook's theme brings that piratey feel with the intense strings that flawlessly suit his fight and level. Boilerworks, dude, Boilerworks! This level wasn't my favorite, but the theme slaps so hard. Have a listen. Even Luigi's ringtone is an absolute bop. Sometimes I just won't pick up the phone and let this keep playing. I feel like I've played a lot of games which many write off as garbage without even playing them. I like to think I've gotten pretty good at looking past the things people make fun of and focus on what the game does well. But there wasn't anything I had to look past with Luigi's Mansion 3. This game does a phenomenal job presenting itself, and it makes for a great first impression. Graphics, sound design, and the OST are all so professional, and I haven't even gotten into how much I loved actually playing the game. So let's talk about that. If I had to choose one word to describe Luigi's Mansion 3, it would be creativity, because everything gameplay and level-wise is just so clever and unique. I've seen a lot of Nintendo games need to implement certain gimmicks to keep gameplay interesting. This isn't a bad thing by any means, I just think it's really impressive how Luigi's Mansion 3 doesn't need any of that. There aren't any power-ups to acquire. It's just you, your vacuum cleaner, and some goop. You always know the tools at your disposal, and it's a lot of fun being familiar with all your options when approaching a puzzle. It kinda reminded me of the Sheikah Slate runes from Breath of the Wild. Sure, it's the same moveset each time, but through level design, both games make you think outside the box. The powers of the Poltergust alone go a really long way when it comes to exploration, puzzles, and especially combat. You've got your strobe light, which can be used to stun those sneaky ghosts so you can suck them up. Once you've done that, you can mash A to slam the ghost on the floor, and it's the best feeling ever. Heck, you can even use the ghost you've sucked up as a weapon for the others. Who wouldn't want to play this game? Luigi's Mansion 3 keeps it fresh by introducing new types of ghosts. Sometimes they'll have sunglasses so you can't stun them. Then you'll have to find a way to get them off their face. Or boxing gloves, so you have to lure them into getting hit by a weight. This simple combat never gets old, and it's a lot of fun meeting new ghosts and learning how to defeat them. But the Poltergust has a few other tricks up its sleeve. You have access to Dark Light, which can be used to bring hidden objects into existence. These hidden items really teach you to have a keen eye and always be searching for secrets. You also got this low boost, which acts as a jump. This not only can be used for blowing things out of your way, but it's helpful for bosses as well. Luigi's Plunger is also present as quite the unique tool. While I have painful memories of this thing from a certain game, I was able to appreciate it here. Essentially, you can shoot your plunger onto almost any object. This is handy for pulling down levers and whatnot. But who needs that when you can just smash things all over the place? This game really does everything it can with the basic functions of the Poltergust. You can suck up items and shoot them out, turn these giant wheels, use it as a mode of transportation, anything you can think of really. And it gets even better when my boy Luigi is involved. Luigi is genuinely one of the most ingenious and well executed mechanics I've ever experienced with a game like this. To summarize, you can essentially summon a second Luigi made out of goop. He works the same way with his moveset and everything, and he can slip through gates and pipes to reach new areas. The only downside being his weakness to water. Having access to two characters at once adds so much potential for puzzles and even boss fights. The level design of Luigi's Mansion 3 only complements its core mechanics, as each level makes you fully utilize every tool you have. This game does its levels via the floors of the mansion, which I love as a concept. The elevator acts as your hub, and each time you complete a level, you get another button which unlocks the next floor. It's so simple, but for whatever reason, I think it's the coolest thing in the world. I just adore the way the game fully embraces the world, or in this case, the mansion as the setting. And that little scene that plays every time you get a button never gets old.
Oh yeah. Ha ha. Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah.
Each floor has a different theme as well. This was a really pleasant surprise as it kept things engaging. I was always curious as to what the next floor's theme would be, and it encouraged me to keep playing to find out. Each level does a brilliant job of translating the themes into fun, new mechanics. For example, on this desert level, you have to blow sand using the Poltergust to reach new areas. Not only are the sand physics amazing here, but it ties into the level theme perfectly while creating a new, unique way to progress. Or the fitness center where you have to blow the pedals of a bike. Everything just feels like it belongs. I could go on and on about how amazing every level is, but then we'd be here for ages. However, there is one level I couldn't not mention. Floor 8, Paranormal Productions. This level is an absolute masterpiece. The sheer ingenuity blew my socks off and put the biggest, stupidest smile on my face. So if it wasn't obvious already, film production is the theme of this level. You can travel through televisions to go to the set of each scene, which yeah, that's cool, but check this out. If you place Luigi in front of the camera and then use Luigi to record, it's like Luigi is in the movie. What? Then you've got a whole bunch of cinematic worlds to explore. It's genius. You can move props to different sets and bring them to your other little mini-verses to solve puzzles, like this torch which you can only light on a specific set, which you bring to a different set to burn this web. I love this so much. The first time I saw this, my jaw literally dropped. It's freaking incredible, and it was at this point in the game where I decided, yeah, I need to make a video on this. Another way the levels commit to and embrace their themes are the boss fights at the end. Boss fights are supposed to be the climax of a level or floor, and that's exactly their role in Luigi's Mansion 3. While I never really struggled with any of them until the end of the game, they do a phenomenal job of wrapping levels up. Each fight is always a joy, as you always have to find out the secret as to how to beat them, and it feels so good when you finally do. But what really sold me with the bosses were their personalities. All of them are made to be so unique and memorable, and they always tie into the level's theme, which makes it all the more impressive. On the music floor, you fight this pianist, who's just so much fun. You've got this angry gardener playing a low tier, but who am I to judge? And you're on a movie set fighting Godzilla on the level I mentioned earlier. All of them are so different and vibrant, so the game always feels fresh. The simple combat works because of how different every fight is. One of my favorites was the Magician Sisters. The theme of this level was magic tricks, so it's full of trippy rooms with wacky solutions. With the boss fight, you have to carefully observe them as they go into their hats and shuffle around. As you take them down, they'll be replaced with decoys, so you have to keep track of the real one. It's so simple, but so clever and fun as well. Some of the later fights do a really great job of making the player use both Luigi and Luigi, something that's already a blast on its own, and I can imagine being even better with co-op. Even the small things, like their defeat animations, really allow for their personalities to bleed through. This goes for all the bosses. You're reminded of your experience with them one final time, like how he's vain, and she's vain, and she's vain. They're all great. All in all, the gameplay and level design of Luigi's Mansion 3 is what it does best. Everything is designed so well. Moveset and floors are also intriguing, and they're created to complement each other. The themes of each floor always add to the player's engagement of the game, and the boss fights at the end are what tie everything together. Despite how fun sucking up every little goodie is, Luigi's Mansion 3 certainly isn't without its flaws. Honestly, there ain't a lot, so this section will be on the shorter end, but there's still a few that I figured were worth mentioning. I'll start with the smallest and most subjective issue, that being the controls. Now for the most part, they were rock solid, but there were a few times in which you couldn't move the poltergust left and right with the motion controls, only up and down. This only really happens with the dark light, and it honestly isn't that big of an issue, but I still wanted to mention it. If we're talking about legitimate flaws within the game, I want to bring up the shop. The thing is, you get so many coins throughout the game. So many players, including me, spend most of their time with this game searching every nook and cranny for coins. For a while I was just sitting there with thousands of coins burning a hole in my pocket, and eventually I asked myself, wait, I can spend these on something, right? Wrong. Well, technically right, but not really. There's a total of 3 items you can buy in the shop. That's right. 3. And unless you're a completionist, only one of them is actually of use to you. You've got boo finders and gem finders, which help you track down, well, boos and gems. And then you've got golden bones, which are essentially cheating. Golden bones are the equivalent of the final battle of Undertale's pacifist route. If you die, you just don't. So you could walk into the final level with like 10 extra lives and just completely wipe the floor. This doesn't detract from the value of the game too much really, I just strongly believe that Luigi's Mansion 3 would have benefited from a more fleshed out shop. And with that out of the way, it's time to get into the worst part of this game, Polterkitty. Polterkitty freaking sucks, dude. So imagine this, you've just completed a boss and you've acquired a brand new button for the next floor. Luigi's so happy and his happiness brings you joy as well. You're also curious and excited to see what the next floor will be like. Well, sorry buddy, you're gonna have to wait because a stupid cat just stole your button. Now you have to track down this cat like 6 times to different floors of the mansion by following footprints. Footprints! Luigi isn't a detective, he's a ghostbuster. Come to think of it, they're kind of the same thing, but that's besides the point. I hate this cat. I swear, the only reason Polterkitty exists is to stretch out the game. It's okay to have a short game, as long as it's of high quality, which Luigi's Mansion 3 is. There is no need to add fetch quests to elongate the adventure. Polterkitty's also a bigger coward than Luigi, which is saying a lot. To fight this thing, you have to stand in the opposite direction, because Polterkitty will just hide if you're looking towards it. And then when it sneaks up on you, you have to turn at the last second to stun it, and then suck it up. Fun! And then on the last level, the hotel owner gets mad at me for killing her cat. You should be thanking me for doing you a favor. It deserved to die. Polterkitty is also one of the most poorly written antagonists I've ever seen. It steals your button for no apparent reason, and its motivation is never explained. If you want to write a good antagonist, you have to make sure their point of view is clearly established so the player can understand their actions, and why they're the bad guy. Duh. That is not the case with Polterkitty. Polterkitty is just bad for the sake of being bad. Guys, for my next character analysis, why Polterkitty is a garbage character, coming soon. In all seriousness, Luigi's Mansion 3 isn't very flawed. Other than a pretty small shop and, well, Polterkitty, there isn't much else that I would consider to be objectively bad. With all that said, let's wrap things up. Luigi's Mansion 3 wasn't a game I thought I would enjoy as much as I did. From the opening cutscene to the credits, nearly every hour of this game was an absolute blast. Every cutscene was visually impressive, and the adorable VA performances made it all the better. Luigi is such a simple yet lovable protagonist, and it was so nice to see him get the spotlight for once. The music was also so well written in every aspect, and complemented the areas perfectly. If we're talking about actually playing the game, it's just full of ingenuity. Such unique mechanics, themed floors, and bosses full of personality. Luigi's Mansion 3 does a fantastic job of keeping the player interested through its gameplay. And while it's definitely not a perfect game, there's only a few significant flaws which aren't too hard to look past. Overall, Luigi's Mansion 3 was such a wonderful experience. And like I say in every video, please go do yourself a favor and give this game a go if you haven't already. It's just so damn good. As always, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything you liked or didn't like about this video, I'd appreciate a comment to let me know. I'm completely open to any constructive criticism, so feel free to let me know what you thought. Again, thanks for making it to the end. Have a fantastic day.